I have straight hair and I love curly hair, for example. Yeah. And today's up because I can't do anything with it today. I washed it yesterday and the monsoon makes it flat, so it just hangs around and doesn't move anywhere. So forget about the hair. Yeah. Or I'm fair and I like a tan on people. I really like it. I had this one time my hairdresser and she had this beautiful skin tone that I adore. Hallo, Namaste, herzlich willkommen. My name is Susanne and this is Sagorika. Oh, sorry, that side. And together we are the S Connection. And what do we do in the S Connection? We talk about topics that interest us, have coffee, or we talk about something that you recommend. So please, if you have any idea what you would like to hear from us, leave it in the comment section. Hi, Sagorika.
Hi, Suzanne. Thanks for that lovely intro. And today's topic, we're going to talk about whether the grass is greener on the other side for real.
Yes, yes. Why? Why is this obsession happening? This is a topic that has been discussed in my household as well, if you believe it. I had this discussion with Akhil as well. Why do people always want to have what they don't have? What is this inherent need to wanting to change something, to want to do something different, to like I have straight hair and I love curly hair, for example. Yeah. And today's up because I can't do anything with it today. I washed it yesterday, and the monsoon makes it flat, so it just hangs around and doesn't move anywhere. So forget about the hair. Yeah. Or I'm fair and I like a tan on people. I really like it. I had this one time my hairdresser and she had this beautiful skin tone that I adored. And you know what I loved about it? She loved it as well.
Oh, good.
And that is so rare, this is rare. It's rare to find somebody who's absolutely at ease with who they are and what they look like.
Absolutely. So, in terms of cultures, we've seen Asian cultures preferring fairer skin tones, right? Um, Anywhere in Asia, whether it's Korea, whether it's India, whether it's Japan, everybody prefers a lighter skin tone. Whereas we go to Europe and
Yeah.
we see people, or even in the US, people spend so much money tanning themselves, and there are tanning salons which were very popular 10 years ago, I think. It was a thing that was shown in so many series as well. So, and they
It's
go to the
very
beach
interesting.
specifically to tan themselves and all that.
It's very interesting because it wasn't like this. I went and read a little bit up about it, and on Wikipedia it was saying that it used to be the same way that women wanted to be fair, women wanted to cover themselves because it was color was associated with working class, with people in the fields, being out in the
Yes,
sun from
yes,
him. So they were
yes.
covering themselves and they were even taking cosmetics like laced with lead and arsenic and even taking it
Yes.
internally just to get brighter and whiter. And that changed in 1907 when a doctor discovered that there is something like heliotherapy and sun is good so you don't have a vitamin D deficiency and you don't get rickets and all kinds of diseases, or it's even treating tuberculosis. So that was from one side the health perspective of sun, because sun is not all bad, of course. And then on the other side, you ever heard of Coco Chanel, the fashion designer,
Of
the French?
course.
Okay, so anybody who doesn't know, she was a French fashion designer, and in 1920s she was in Saint-Tropez and she got burned from the sun, came back, had a tan, and everybody was like, "Oh, wow, we want this." So that was one influential person in 1920s. This happened where people were suddenly following her, wanting to tan, and the other one was the dancer and performer Josephine Baker, who was very, very popular in Paris at that time. And then from there, it went into the 50s, 60s, and the first oil came on the market where it was, you were rubbing it on. It was like a baby oil and it was supposed to tan your skin. And from there, it went into the 70s when they were having these big foil projectors and they were lying down like this and having it so they will get the color everywhere the same way. And from there, it just went on and on to tanning baths and to these self tanners,
Self
where they're not
tanning.
quite sure if they can be carcinogenic or not or what. So there's a whole story from 1800, it was fair skin, to now it has become tan, because also now a tan is associated with you've been on holiday, you look
Mm.
refreshed, you look good. And somebody who's pale in Europe is being considered, are you sick? Are you not well? I can't tell you how many times I've been told that. Are you not okay? Are you not like
Oh, that's
also
common. That's
here?
very common. If so, I'm somebody who does not wear kajal. In college, I used
Mhm.
to, but then I don't wear kajal. So if I'm not wearing anything for the most part, everybody throughout college has asked me if you're sick, and it just makes you so angry. You come normal to go to office, go to class or something like that, and then everybody's asking, are you sick, are you well, are you upset? And I'm like, I haven't cried. I just don't wear kajal. But it's a thing. I think women are much too under the microscope at all times. Now I don't get asked. I think my complexion or general energy shows a lot more on your face. But then you can imagine when you first start working, you're working so hard and you're constantly tied up in work, looking at the screen. You don't have that energy to show through on your face. And everybody's like, oh, are you sick? I'm like, no. So whether it's pale, whether it's, general, a lot of women get asked this, I think.
Yeah, and there was a whole discussion on this that they were saying now. I'm not sure. I didn't look this up. I'm sorry. Miss World not wearing, or Miss America. Some pageant has taken away the makeup requirement.
Oh,
Like you can go without makeup on. Like they want to propagate not wearing makeup. What I
interesting.
find is a nice idea, but at the same time, every pale blonde beauty is gonna be like. So I had this discussion under it on Instagram, and I was saying, guys, if I don't wear a little bit of makeup, then like I need a little bit of mascara and a little eyebrow pencil and some gloss. Otherwise, I look just white, like I'm white, literally white. And people were like calling me out and like, how dare you? And all this was going on. So
अभी नहीं पहनना मत पहनो यार.
no, I like the concept, but it doesn't work for everybody. If somebody is
Yeah,
having a great skin and sparkly eyes and is having a natural lip color, then they don't need to do this. But the thing
exactly.
is that I think our topic is changing from the grass is greener to the imposition of beauty on
Right,
us. And
interesting.
that
We
the
can do that
beautiful
later.
lady.
I think we can come back to that. It's a good topic to discuss. But I will say I've read very similar things when it comes to vacationing, and people wanting tan skin elsewhere, people wanting fairer skin. It does have to do with the elite defining beauty standards. For example, those who worked in the fields were again, thought to be lower class, lower economic strata. And so those elites who did not really have to go out, they maintained fair skin even in India. So that
Hmm.
became associated with a sense of beauty because that indicated wealth. And so, the idea was that people who are wealthy will probably, or people the more elite, and that is always the aspirational goal, right? To be like the elite. And so people associated that with fairness in Asia, all of Asia, whether it's China,
Hmm.
whether it's India, whether it's Korea. And then abroad, it started being associated with vacationing, like you said, at the turn of the
Yeah.
last century. It started being associated with vacationing. And that was also something only the elites could aspire to. It wasn't like the common person could go to Saint Tropez and come back sunburned. so,
By the way, you can add Africa. You can add Africa to the whole continent that wants to be whiter, light skinned. And they
I
even
see.
go to the extent of using injections.
Oh, wow.
Glyphonine. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong.
Hmm.
Whoever is listening and pronouncing it wrong.
Glutathione.
Yeah, so that can be injected as well, and there's a whole industry, and it's sometimes it has been pushed because it's been outlawed in South Africa, and South Africa had campaigns against it as well. They were like, this should not happen, so they have been propagating "Love Your Skin" on TV since the 70s.
Good.
But then it pushes the whole industry into the black market. Like people who want to do that, they will go to the black market. So Africa is having this problem with it, and Philippines is also having a big problem with it.
I think this can be correlated to post colonial nations, right? Again, the elite were always fair people, the elite were white people, and so the common person might attempt to try and fit in by whitening their skin. Fair and Lovely had a lot of campaigns against it. Now they're Glow and Lovely, as if that makes a difference to their actual job. But yeah, that's definitely something that is something that a lot of people see. You and I can discuss this. We are comfortable in our own skins, as as we are. But growing up, I've seen like if I were to go to my village and the regular tribal ladies that we interacted with were very regular about continuously rubbing Fair and Lovely on themselves and being very
Mm.
careful about. Yeah, that was very sad to see. I mean, she wanted to get married, and there were lots of them actually. Lots of the people that I interacted with were from that area and were tribals, and that was their idea of beauty. You had to be fairer than you were, and she had lovely skin. To be honest, it was like that glowing dark skin, so very nice complexion, unmarred by any blemishes. But yeah, she
Mm.
thought it was necessary to be fairer. We
To,
were
to,
always told by, older people in our family that my mom was told, because we were always encouraged to play, and playing meant playing in the sun in schools, right? So, oh my God, your kids are so thin, your kids are so dark. And my father never really cared, and they didn't let those things get to us. We continued to be encouraged to do whatever we were doing. And I thought sunscreen was a cosmetic until much later, when I realized that it's good, it's harmful
it's a
otherwise to
protection.
be
Yeah, it's a
exposed, yeah,
protection.
for so long. But yeah, after I think I started applying sunscreen maybe 5 years ago, and I'm still less regular. And I've only read that the French are less regular about sunscreen. They use everything else from the pharmacy, but they do use sunscreen. But it's just that the sun rays are not that intense over there, so they don't find it quite as necessary. If they're, they don't like use it in their homes and sit the way Americans are encouraged to.
I think everywhere it's different. I think it depends where you are because I was like, I tan in, I was tanning in Bali. I couldn't tan in South Korea. I was not getting a tan in Europe, in Germany, and it was depending on where I am and what climate, if I would get a tan
Mhm.
or I wouldn't get a tan. And so I was also trying to get a tan, knowing everything, putting sunscreen on top of it, but still aspiring to have a slight tan, especially on my legs because they're super white. So that is one thing. But do you know that this whole white, wanting to be white, has come back all the way from Egypt
Right.
and
Right.
from Cleopatra and
Hmm.
the milk, bathing in milk.
Ass's milk. Yeah.
So it is. I think this must be one of these things that is just coming from the inside that you want to do something that you consider yourself beautiful with.
I think that would depend on. I mean, she was Greek, so it's understandable that she would aspire to Greek and Egyptian beauty standards of. So she used, which is as donkey's milk or any other, decided that donkey's milk was better. So that, but otherwise, it has lactic acid. She used urea, which is pigeons or bird droppings, as well as milk. So all of these actually are pretty good. Urea is very moisturizing, and it's still used in a lot of creams today. So is lactic acid. So it's understandable that people would pursue beauty standards from that time. And I think rice paste is was used very regularly in Japan by the geishas, who used to paint their faces white, like
Mm.
dramatically white, not
Yes,
merely.
yes.
But that also protected from the sun if they were outside. So
But was also the beauty standard that the very red
yeah,
lips and that cut out in
right,
the back, that was the
right.
sign for being erotic and being considered beautiful. The same like the binding of the feet. I mean, if you go
Hmm.
about that, what kind of harmful uh, practices have been there under the disguise of beauty, be it that or just go to modern times, what women go through with straightening their hair. Yeah, what kind of treatment you are applying every time, and what kind of stuff you're doing to your hair to have it straight, and then you put straightener on top of it. And curls can be so beautiful, you know. Curls can be so. My
Of
mom had this
course.
thing. My mom had like straight hair like me all her life, and suddenly now in her 70s, she had a haircut, and suddenly she has curly hair. I don't know. Yeah, she has curly hair now. So she's like delighted because she wanted curls all the time, and she told her mom, "Why didn't you give me your curls in your red hair color?" And my grandmother never wanted to have red hair color because it was associated with being a witch. So
Right.
you have I think every generation or every two generations in every country and every culture in the country is having a different beauty standard, different beauty ideas, and everybody always wants something different.
Funnily, we have so many gods that are dark. We have so many deities who are, specifically dark. We also have records where people, there was this, I think, uh, Rakshasi, or not Rakshasi, one of the older gods, Maya, goddesses, and her husband, they were praying for a child. And, the description is there. They wanted a dark child. Being dark was considered a traditional standard of beauty. People wanted,
Mhm.
I mean, I can imagine it would show off your features better in that sense. And that's perhaps the elite were darker at that time. So the prayer was for a dark child. So
So
it's funny how these things have changed over time.
I have sent you this clipping of this German girl who has tanned
Mm,
herself into becoming black. And I think this
right.
is the kind of thing where it is going over the top. And where I'm asking myself, what is going on the psyche level? I mean, it's okay once in a while to feel like, oh, I wish I would be a little lighter, or even using some products, or going for tanning salon. But what happens if it becomes self harm under the disguise of
The
this is
pursuit of
actually
beauty.
me? Yeah,
Uh,
and self
I think
improvement.
there is another man who went into debt trying to become David Beckham. There's a woman. There have been several cases of people undergoing plastic surgery to try and look like their favorite celebrities, like Kim Kardashian and those more famous
Some
people. And
person, that singer from BTS, somebody was trying to look like that person as well.
oh right,
Or,
yes,
or that famous thing, Michael Jackson always wanted to look like Elizabeth Taylor. At least
yeah.
he said.
I'm not. I mean, maybe he said that or something. But the thing is that I think he had vitiligo, which is why he underwent a lot of surgeries and treatments. But he already had a skin disease.
Yeah, yeah, okay, you can have a skin disease, but then your nose doesn't fall apart, right?
Right. This is the lady that you were talking about.
Here, I don't know because this might be just for publicity because she's
Yeah,
also
yeah.
like keeps on filling up her boobs, and she was blonde and white before, and now she's identifying as black and has even lived with tribes and has a change of name and everything. And whatever she was searching for on this in this endeavor, I just hope she found it and she's at peace, because if somebody is going through such a dramatic change, yeah, this
It
is,
just
I don't think
seems
this
a
is
little,
reversible.
in a way, it's just racist, right? You just see the most stereotyped things, and then that's what you performatively up trying to be those people. So you just admire a body type and associate it with everybody of that place. I don't know. It just seems
Mhm.
a little
Aki was
strange.
also saying, Aki came up with this, that he was saying, I like to wear Indian outfits, and like Westerners come here and they are like enamored with all the colors and the style, and they want to just wear those clothes. And a lot of Indian women are like, hey, let me wear Western stuff as well, not really, but as well. Yeah. So it's like this. exchange something new, something fresh, something to feel, I don't know, something different maybe.
Yeah, but your body to that extent that you don't associate only clothing and aspects of culture. You think thick lips are why I will be considered black, and then you go and get thick lips, like she, the
Yeah,
model
she's
that we
done it.
just saw. She's done that. I mean, that's unfair to the people you're looking at. I don't know. It just seems a little too relegating a culture or a people to their body type and then aspiring to be them.
I find it amazing that she went to Africa and was accepted there as well.
Yes,
Just
I mean,
imagine
yeah, she
how
was
cool these
pursued
people
as
are when
a.
they think they gave her a new name and everything. And I find this is so sweet. And this is kind of like what's happening here as well. I was approached by a journalist sometime back, I think maybe 2 years ago. And later on, somebody writing a PhD on culture appropriation. And they wanted to have like examples from me. They wanted me to talk about how people not like it that I wear sari, not like it I'm having bindi, not wanting me to do these kinds of things, having that kind of negative experience here. And I said, there's the door, because India is not like this.
Yeah, yeah, we are not.
Oh God, that's a lot of money.
So this person became very famous because he wanted to become like David Beckham. Now, after spending all of that money, he simply does not look like David Beckham, or maybe he does in his own
Is he
head. I don't
happy?
know,
Is he
but
happy?
he's unhappy, and I think that's not something anyone can change, right? So these are the people with the lowest of self-esteem get taken on a ride by people like doctors, right? In this case, people who will undergo. I'm sure he goes off his own volition, but it is somebody's job to tell him that you will not look like him. Perhaps the way to be like him is to work out like he does, or something of that sort. He's got
I'm
transplants.
sorry.
Like, imagine
Huh,
he
I'm
must
sorry. I
have
didn't.
regular hair.
I'm sorry, I didn't Google the guy who went through all these things to look like the Barbie. If you just male Barbie,
Ah, yeah.
because that
I
guy
think I.
is taking it to an extreme. He's never happy. I think there are three guys together and they all say,
Mm.
"Oh, I'm gonna have one more surgery, one more surgery, one more surgery, one more surgery," and they already spend like I don't know $500,000 on this, and they keep on having surgery after surgery after surgery, and I'm like, is there anything left in your body? Is there anything that you can actually still adjust to or do something with? And they're never happy. There is no end to it. It seems to be like a drug.
Let me just share that as well. I just. It makes you feel bad.
I mean, they're constantly in the news with this as well, so I don't know if it's that as well. Yeah, yeah, now he's identifying as a woman.
Yeah, he
That's
also
really good.
went first started as Ken doll and then became
Yeah,
Barbie.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, hooked on the look. Oh God, I was in 2020 in the lockdown. I was watching this like candy, like too much.
I had a good lockdown binge watching session. I learned how to make bonds, at least theoretically, and how to flip furniture, how to restore vintage furniture. YouTube is just such a gold mine,
Yeah,
I
it
think.
is. I got all my face exercises, facial
Ah,
exercises, how
right.
to get better at makeup, give myself a haircut, and so there are great things on this. Definitely, YouTube is a gold mine. So
I
I don't. Huh. So you said this is going deeper than just looks. You said this is also going into a financial sector. You were saying.
Yes, so these people are going into millions of dollars of debt, or at least thousands of dollars of debt, excuse me, pursuing plastic surgery to the point that they look unrecognizable. And then it sort of becomes a habit that becomes their identity. So they keep on pursuing it, right? They're hooked. And it's not just about the look. Then they're battling so many other demons. They were unhappy to begin with, they were insecure in how they looked anyway, and now they will have to worry about their finances because this guy who tried to be David Beckham is in debt now. All he can do is just declare bankruptcy. That's where
Oh,
he's at. Is it worth it? I don't know what would make it worth it. Would it matter if people came up to him and said, "Hey, your hairstyle looks like David Beckham's"? Because I don't know if anybody's going to validate him like that, because he does not look like David Beckham eventually. So who's going to tell him that he looks like him?
I
If that
know.
was his goal, he's failed.
So that's an addiction as well. I think this must be an addiction like the shopping addiction, that you go shopping even though you're in debt because you feel
Mm,
like the
yeah.
next new t-shirt is going to make me a happier person. I think this is shopping in pursuit of happiness. And maybe this is going into the same thing because you feel like once I come out of this surgery, my life will magically be in place because I will have the new nose and I have the new lips and I have the new whatever I'm aspiring to. And I'm thinking that's automatically fixing whatever problems I'm having. But you're creating more problems, like you said.
Absolutely. Um, the not pursuing health, that's one thing. For example, plastic surgery has been very beneficial for victims of acid attacks. There are so many NGOs that are working towards providing these victims some semblance of, normalcy in that, in the
Okay.
looks arena. And it's not just those. There are people who have lost parts of their facial skin during war, army veterans. So these are people, for we can't pretend that how we look does not affect confidence, at least for the normal person. From the first impression is physical judgment. So that is infinitely
Okay.
helpful to people who have had accidents such as these, or have been victims of such violent tragedies, and they probably not like to be reminded of that every time they look in the mirror. And so that kind of reconstruction is absolutely understandable. But then we have all of these people who are, who might seem fine to us, but they don't seem fine to themselves. So I think
Hmm.
there is so much more that can be suggested to them other than surgery. Their mental well-being needs to be prioritized rather than physical reconstruction over there.
And that's why a lot of these people they tend to fly to somewhere else because in their own country they cannot do these kinds of surgeries, and then they just fly to somewhere else, as you see in Hooked on the Look.
Right.
Some of the
Uh,
surgeries are not even happening in the country that the person's living. They're just flying off to somewhere else because that's where it is can happen, yeah. And it can happen very bad and it can backfire, and then you have a disfigured body.
mm,
Linda Evangelista was the top model who has this disfigurement because she was using ice sculpting, I think, for her body because of the pressure that she was feeling of having a younger body all the time. I think it was Linda Evangelista. Maybe you can check it. Ice sculpting. This machine is supposed to go on your body in certain ways and then melt fat away by freezing it. And the machine made like these chunks, and the chunks stayed. They didn't go.
yeah, Linda Evangelista. Oh my God, she's very famous. So
Yes, and I was looking up to her, and you know what? I see models who are aging gracefully. Yes, they do something. Yes, they have their Botox done and they have their
sure,
little
sure.
this done and their little that done. I can understand that as well. Because if
Mm,
you live off your beauty as a
exactly.
business, I think it's very hard to let that go. But it can backfire like this. And Linda Evangelista, I felt so sorry to read this. And she has money and she must have gone to the best place and the highly recommended place. And then it just all went haywire.
I remember one of the first people who was discussed in this scenario was Antonio Banderas' wife, Melinda Griffith.
Yes, yes,
A long time ago, I remember, some snippets about her, and she looked strange. Same thing is happening with Madonna. And
yes.
okay, I think there's some issue with either this website or just. Yeah, she's suing them finally. So.
Yeah, she is. And I find this and it's apparently there's pain as well. So
Oh,
if something
God.
like that backfires because you're trying to freeze time, you're trying to stay what you were in your 20s, what Madonna is trying very desperately to do. and I think she would yeah, she would look better if she wouldn't do it. We have a lot of people who look great. I mean, Meryl Streep is looking fabulous. You don't need to go and do these kinds of things. I don't think there are pictures of the disfigurement anywhere.
Right.
They're just talking about because it's on her body and in certain parts. So of course you can't show that. I think it's under her arm or something.
Mhm.
So she can't just put her arm over it.
Cryolipolysis. It's very strange that you know it's an experimental thing, and then you just wow.
So it's not even about grass greener on the other side. It's more like grass greener when I was 20.
That could be true, but then we also have this cultural aspect where people are trying to change their skin color. We saw that model who wanted to change her race. Um, so yeah, the grass could be. I get that thing about curly hair and straight hair. So I had wavy hair, which is I've always had wavy hair, which is right in the middle. I think it gets straighter and wavier depending on the climate. When I'm in
Mhm.
Mumbai, it's much curlier or yeah, if I leave it unwashed for a few days, then it gets back its curls, and then otherwise it's straighter. But I've always admired curly hair, and my aunt and all her progeny, they have very nice tight curls. And yeah, so two sisters have straightish hair, and the
Mhm.
third one has like this absolutely curly hair, and neither of my grandparents have it. So she just mutated suddenly. So we've always admired that. And my cousin, who has curly hair, she always liked our hair better, which was straighter, because for
Okay.
her it was very painful. You know how Indian families, they essentially grab your hair, take a comb through it. That's not how curly hair is supposed to be treated.
No, no,
That
no, no,
also
no.
with hard water. So she was tortured throughout her childhood. Now she knows how to take care of her hair, but it's yeah, thankfully her children both have curly hair. But yeah, we wanted her hair, she wanted our hair.
And I find it amazing. I'm very happy to see that because of social media and YouTube and all these things, people get to know what hair type they are and how they can use it and
Right.
how they can work with it. Because if, like you said, no, before internet, we didn't know what to do with our hair, how to hold it, how
Yes.
to comb it, what to do with it. Yeah, and maybe I would have thought twice about combing my hair.
Hmm.
Yeah, I looked really weird, like a poodle.
That I think that the method itself is very unnatural. I think it uses
Yeah,
way too much heat and it dries it out so much that there's more frizz than curls at that point. So
yeah, yeah.
curly done with a wand is probably understandable, but that kind of curly, when I was younger, I saw a lot of girls, whether in college or outside, who wanted to join the acting industry. They did attempt a lot of things. I think Kangana Ranaut was the first mainstream actor to carry it with a lot of grace when she came on
Yeah.
Gangster.
And
So I think she
that's
was the
great because I saw that as well, and I was very delighted by this because she was just like a breath of fresh air, and that's the whole thing behind it. What you are is very important because you are there only one time. You don't exist a second time in that combination that you are. So if you're embracing that, you much more at ease. Yes, you can experiment. We all do, and it's fun. Yeah, but you should not feel sad about who you are inside and then try to change that permanently because you cannot do that. Kangana Ranaut must have been told 50 million times to straighten her hair, the same way like Kate Winslet was told you have to lose weight, like
yes, yes.
Cindy Crawford was told she has to take a mole away.
Wow.
All these things made them, yeah, all these things made them who they are, who they were, who they became successful for. And I think this should be celebrated more or highlighted more that the things that are special about you are the things that make you stand out and be different. Maybe you are different. Everybody's different. Everybody's
No,
having their
I
own
love how
personal
you
story.
said it. I love how you said it that, we only exist in this combination as we are once. So we can try to be a better version of ourselves, but that should not mean that we are unhappy in our skin as we are at this time. So I
Because
think
it's
that's
not
very important.
manipulative.
especially with social media and everything, just pushing us to all go in a single. I think we discussed this last time as well, right? Trends that come in that are global trends, people try to emulate those regardless of where they are very often. And
Oh
things
yeah,
that
that's
just
true.
don't suit us, we just think, okay, Rihanna's come up with her beauty line, and Selena Gomez has her beauty line or whatever. No, I mean, I'm sure they're very diverse and they have a lot of skin tones. I'm just thinking that, we don't have to aspire to everything else that everybody else does. We can just, and I think advertisements and marketers are getting better at this. I've noticed, Forest Sanchez, Juicy Chemistry. These are brands that are utilizing the Indianness of Indians, and
Hmm.
they bring that normalcy towards beauty product, where the
Hmm.
skin tone is matched with the concealer. You're not really looking at some concealer that's making you lighter or making your blemish stand out anyway, which you wanted to conceal. So because earlier, I know, when, like, my mother's never had makeup around, so we didn't learn how to make up. I think my sister learned right now, right before she got married. So we don't know how to use makeup, but makeup artists used to get these concealers and things that were very light. So, and there were all these girls when in school, if they were from wealthier families, they would get their eyebrows threaded, they would
Yeah.
use concealer. You
And then
could
have
make
money.
out all
Oh,
of
yeah.
that.
But that was in
So,
my time as well. It was in my time as well. I think that was just the way it was working at that time. I had acne, and the dermatologist gave me some cream that I was supposed to mix on a daily basis. So the cream was white, and then it was like some tube of color to mix it so it is not white on your skin. And depending on how I was awake at 6 a.m. in the morning, I was mixing it right or I was mixing it wrong. So sometimes I was
oh,
roaming out of the house at the age of 14 where everything is going haywire anyways. I was a mess. Yeah. Yeah, like, so that was happening. So I remember distinctively that at that time there were certain things that were happening and everybody was using it. Was it to their skin tone or not their skin tone? It didn't matter. It was just put on the face no matter what.
no, I think most of us went with pimples, but the ones who were, the, I don't know how to call them, they weren't the mean girls, but they were the
The elite girls, the posh ones.
so we had these categorizations. There were girls called mod, which was modern,
Okay.
and then there
Yeah.
were the behenji category. I didn't fit into any of them. So the mod girls who used all these things, and so I remember we had this march past in school. So we were practicing under the sun for 1.5 months. In twice or thrice, we would have the entire thing, which would last again 1.5 hours each session. So imagine doing that 3 times in the sun. So of course we
Oh
were
my God.
dark by then, right? It built your endurance, but I was a sports person. I loved that. I loved that
Mm.
happening. And to be honest, the final day where we were marching in front of the air chief marshal of that time, and the governor of Andhra Pradesh. It was more intense than even our practices. Anyway, all of us were very dark by the end of it. Some girls, I didn't know about this, right? Because I'd never been to a parlor. They came back fairer right in time for the final day. And I was like, how are you? And then they just look at each other and they're telling me, दूध में ना नींबू डाल के and I'm like, दूध में नींबू डालने से तो पनीर बनता है. Then I realized years later that they probably bleached their skin at some
Blue.
parlor, and yeah, they were not comfortable saying that because
Yeah,
I
that's
had
the
no
kind of.
idea.
It's all natural beauty. I'm not using Botox, and I'm just like I'm sleeping right and I'm eating right, and like Jennifer
Drinking lots
Lopez
of
get real.
water.
Jennifer
Yeah, yeah,
Lopez
yeah.
get real. Why don't you say it? Like I have been saying, I've been using Botox, and I had fillers, and I didn't like it. I had Botox for a very long time because I had this overactive muscle thing happening here, and every time I was acting, it looked like I'm overacting. So for me, it was
Oh.
a matter of not wanting to do this all the time. Now I haven't used it in I don't know how many years. I think 2000. 2012, 13, I had the last time done. And then I discovered in lockdown, I discovered face yoga. Now that's my thing too, because you can do all of this. Just nobody tells you
Uh-huh.
this. Yeah, that's another
It's
industry that
very
pushes stuff
interesting.
into
Like
you.
you literally have no lines here.
I do have lines, but if you do facial exercises, you can release stress, you can release certain things, like asymmetrical eyebrows you can fix. So there are things that you can do to make yourself look a better version of yourself without any invasive or expensive treatment. You can.
That requires you to be happy with how you look, so you want to highlight some of that, right? It can't start with us being completely unhappy with how we are. I mean, even sometimes I would say that that is also an okay thing. Like, I don't like how I look, so I want to look a certain way. Perhaps I want to look slimmer, or I want to put on weight, I want to build muscle, I
Mm.
want to. But
Yeah.
you can't like hate everything you are. That's something that's going to always be detrimental to mental health, as well as, it'll cause people to take extreme steps like we just saw. So
Yep. I
yeah.
mean, Botox is also very convenient. Yeah, it gives you the feeling you get like security. You know, nothing will move there, and when it's done right, it looks natural. Nobody ever suspected I'm doing it. Nobody was coming and saying you have that typical Botox look because you can have it done in a nice way. It's not necessary that it completely freezes everything. You know, still some movement was there, but it makes you addicted to it. Yeah,
Right.
it becomes this crutch that you think you need, and then when you turn a certain age you keep on doing it, and then you become one of these people you didn't want to become, the where the face is not matching with the body and not with the persona, because you should also, what you are inside should also show on your face, like you look at Meryl Streep. What do you
Mm.
what do you think of when you look at Meryl Streep's face? Do you
Power
think she
strike.
do you think she looks ugly or anything? No, you see a well lived in face that is just glowing, and she has a lot of power behind it. But if you look at Madonna, who I adored
Right.
as a teenager, I loved her music and everything, and I
Exactly.
look at her and I feel like the person that she is and the experience she has and the life she's lived is gone, because there is just this mask. I'm looking at a mask. I'm not looking at a human being.
That's so true. And I just, you said that it's a crutch, and I'll tell you, I've read this about so many things. It's not just Botox at the lowest scales, right? Kajal.
Mm.
When people
Yeah.
start with using kajal, I've seen a lot of Indian girls just feel like they'll start with a very thin line, and then they'll make it very thick because they can't feel it. Look, even a thin line will kind of highlight your eyes to the person you're speaking with. It may not show on
Hmm.
camera, but it will
Hmm.
highlight it in some way. But they'll suddenly find that it's not enough, and that addiction builds up, and eventually everybody who uses kajal uses a very thick line. Without that, they don't feel awake. So the people looking at them also tend to find it very weird when they don't, because you familiarize the other people to look at you a certain way. Without kajal, you just look different, and people think that you look sick. I always feel that it makes the face look fresher if you're not wearing that much around
Mm.
your eyes, because we're a sultry nation. If
Yeah,
you're
it is.
somewhere else where, because you get oily, and people use kajal, so such heavy kajal all around their eyes that it just makes you look a little too much. But you get used to it. Same thing with lip gloss, and there were so many articles about these things when I was growing up. Right, people got used to using lip gloss or lip balm, but colored lip balm, like how you look. You just don't see yourself without a color on your lips, which I find myself a little too addicted to that part. Where I started wearing lipstick very late, but I've always used lip balms. So I find it like too bland. But again, that's why in Kantara, when I saw, I forget her name. I don't know.
Yeah, that actress that we discussed
Yes,
last time,
the
how free
heroine.
she was looking. Yeah.
She did not wear anything, and that's why things like Juicy Chemistry. They have a new line called Color Chemistry. I haven't used anything, but I've noticed that advertisements are very. They take like your regular. Uh, ladies, like whether they're as old as us, whether they're slightly older, and like the
Mm.
other older generation, they take all of these ladies, and even the lipsticks or whatever they use are very much in keeping with Indian skin tones. They don't look out of place at all. They just look
That's
like
nice.
they're well groomed. At least the way
I will check it out because I wasn't aware of it. I just was like again upset or like a little disappointed with Lakme. Oh, we have the new range and we have the new foundations, and what do they bring? I think five or something. So
uh,
that will not cover the nation. You have
right,
too
right,
many skin tones here. Yeah. You need more. You need
exactly.
to expend more, and for that they're also too expensive. They're more expensive than Maybelline, I think.
Oh no, color chemistry is expensive.
Really?
But
Yeah. Huh.
it's eco certified organic. I actually like that. This is
Let me
not sponsored for the
let me.
viewers.
I
This
think
is not sponsored. Any of the brands we're discussing have not sponsored us, but they're welcome to.
no,
But yeah,
no.
I
This is all, one second. Disclaimer. Everything we're saying here is just our personal opinion, and it
yes,
is not sponsored, and nothing is happening behind the scenes. Just to let you know. No, I was
yeah.
talking about Lakme and their pricing, but okay.
नहीं तो लैक्मे से ज़्यादा महंगा है but they are certified organic and they use actually natural ingredients. So I've
Oh,
used like they have this dry shampoo which so my I give a lot of this to my sister because she's in England and she loves taking Indian products with her, and when people ask where did you get this, like, hi, this is from India, because it's very good. Like they have this activated charcoal and plantain. Like, can you imagine kacha kela being used in a beauty product? So
that's
plantain
nice.
and activated charcoal and something, and to make that dry shampoo. And
Okay.
that's a dry shampoo that's not white. I mean, I have not
Okay.
used any other dry shampoos. I only use it because I'm very careful with my hair. So I've
I
only
just
used
stopped
it
dry
because.
shampoo.
Sorry?
Yeah. I just stopped dry shampoo because I got breakage from it. But it is very tempting for somebody like me who keeps on having flat hair. Now I have to fight the flat hair all the time.
Yeah, I'll share a link with you and with the viewers if you want to get it. But I don't know. I found it kind of cool because it's completely natural, which is why I dared to use it. I
Yeah,
don't use anything on my skin
that
and
sounds
hair,
good.
so yeah. So
Acha, so
yeah, they
in our chat, you guys are also getting, for our viewers, you guys are also getting like some kind of tips and hints and tricks about what to do. And if you like any of these, please leave this in the comment section because this is really us chatting about what interests us. And we choose a topic and then we go around the topic all the time and come to other things as well. So if this is not your cup of tea, I think you might have stopped watching anyways. And if you're still here, thanks. Please subscribe. Please like. Please share.
yeah, I always forget to do that in any of my videos, but it's so helpful to have people actually liking and subscribing because it really helps the channels, both of our channels. And yeah, we'd love to actually, these are talks where we would really love for many comments because there's no right answer to anything. So any comments, any thoughts that you have, please do leave it below.
I had a
We'll probably
wonderful
go
comment on the last one where I had a wonderful comment on the last one. Her name was also with an S. Sorry, I forgot her name. She put it under my video where she was saying thank you for including me in your S connection, and thanks for pointing this out that at the age of 30 I shouldn't feel old just because I'm not married, and people shouldn't make me feel old. And I felt this was such a nice comment to get after our first ever stream what we're doing. So that was amazing. So if you're watching, hi.
And if you're watching, I'm also much over 30. I am not married. I don't feel old at all. I feel very comfortable. And to be honest, it is helped by the fact that I have so many friends who are over 30 and not married. And I'm not saying that this is the ideal. It's not. I don't think that societally this is the ideal, but that does not mean that we should individually be uncomfortable because of it. So it's just how things have worked out. We're very comfortable, and it's a nice place to be, being very secure in your skin, in your wisdom. And, there are some things that only come with experience. No amount of
Yeah.
learning in our 20s can actually make us imagine what growing up is going to feel like. I mean, 20s were supposed to be grown up, I know, but but with this whole protected atmosphere that we have, touch wood, due to the economic prosperity that the country has experienced over the last few years, 20, you don't see everybody working, joining the workforce, trying to eke out a living immediately when you're in your early 20s. People are still studying and trying to figure out what they're going to do and things like that. So by the time you're 30, you definitely have no escape from adult things, but you're also used to those things by now. So I think you're a lot more comfortable and a lot more secure, and you've had so many experiences that are good, bad, and you feel like you can handle things. So it's a nice place to be. Yeah, but that
But
goes
this
back to our last video on ageism. If you haven't watched it, please do.
Yeah. Usually I do this kind of please like, subscribe, and share at the end of my other videos with a voiceover, but because this is a new format, we're doing it like this in the
Right,
middle of the
right,
video.
right.
I
I
have
should try
another
that.
tiny little end thing that I wanted to say prior. I just remembered it. I think I told you this privately that when I started shooting here, everybody had a problem with my skin color. Like they found me too white. The cameraman, the makeup
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
they
yeah.
didn't know how to do my makeup. They didn't know how to do. And at that time, I couldn't just go on Google and look it up. I went to Mac. I spent a shitload of money just to, okay, beat me out here. I spent a lot of money just to buy cosmetics that I couldn't use later because I bought a darker color thinking it will help. I was like so desperate to not be this white just because it was
Right.
inconveniencing everybody around us. They didn't know how to light me. They didn't know how to light me with a darker person next to it. And now that was 2006. Cut to 20, I think before that, but now 2020, 22, 23, no such problem anymore. The makeup
Mm,
we used to use, Krylon, what is a German theater brand.
mm,
This is
mm.
makeup for theater. Yeah, what has been used here because of climate and situation and the way they were shooting. I don't think anybody uses it anymore because we have moved from a RX camera to a HD, to a RED camera and into higher format. And the way we're shooting now, this would look like a mask. Now when I
Yes.
go for shooting, they do a little like a touch up, not even a makeup, a little mascara, and they put me in front of the camera. And
Wow.
they don't have a problem anymore with lighting. Everybody knows how to light now. I mean, the industry has changed from we don't know what to do with you. We're putting like red lipstick and purple eyeshadow, and we
Oh
just
my
make you look.
god.
And I had to play the sweet Bahu of the house, looking like
Huh.
that.
But
Yeah.
everybody used to look like that. No, so much like
Yes.
normal people were like, who sleeps with that much makeup?
Yeah. There was this character Komolika on Inka
Uh,
Sorting,
yeah, I
and
was
she had this
teased by her name a lot.
huge bindi na she was
Right.
having and everything. And the first time I had to act with her, I was so scared because that on screen persona and everything. Anyways, the first 1.5 years I was scared because of language and people and it was a lot. Anyways, so it has come from, in a very short time, the whole industry has moved from heavy makeup, certain kinds of cameras, and certain kind of lighting. They have moved zup to light makeup, less makeup, hardly any makeup, and a different kind of lighting because a different kind of technology is behind it. And that is in like not even 20 years. Huge change. Huge change.
That's
What other
lovely. I
people have
think it
done.
shows some maturity, but you know what? I am pretty sure that at some point we'll go back to, cyclically go back to a heavy makeup phase where people are expecting more. Because I was just remembering there was this whole thing in European classes. At one point, you were considered savage if you went out without painting your face.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, I mean, these things, seem to switch once in a while.
Yeah,
And
that
the way
was with
men
fashion
part,
as well. Fashion
Sorry.
is also cyclic. Everything
Yes,
is cyclic.
fashion.
Yeah.
So
Let,
my mom, I remember she said that they used to wear what they called parallels when they were younger, and now they're just called palazzos. This is very
ah,
similar loose fitting pants at that time under kurtas and all. Then you had short kurtas, then you had long kurtas, and now at that time long kurtas were like, oh my god, this is so
oversized.
strange. It's not very fashionable. And now short kurtas will be discussed the same way that he kya pehna hai. So yeah, it just switches so much within.
The only
I think
trend I don't want to have come back, the only trend I do not want to have come back is skinny eyebrows. Somebody said skinny eyebrows are gonna gonna make a comeback, and I'm like, no, 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 please, please, don't do this to me. I will not do it. I did it. I look like an idiot. Yeah. I just like if I find one picture like that, we can put it in a thumbnail. I like.
sure, but yeah, that was never pretty. But I don't know. Again, being Asian, not Asian, being Indian, actually, Asians did go through a skinny brow phase. Being Indian, I think you can't make it really skinny. You can make it light, but you can't make it skinny, skinny. Most of us tend to have heavier brows. So I don't
And the
remember
story.
too many of them. You remember Kajol when she had a unibrow and then she got rid of it? Like now she has traditional, I mean, typical ones, normal ones, but I mean, that was her, making her distinct. That factor kind of made her distinct and stand out. She got rid of it because,
It
she
was
herself
suiting
was
her.
very.
It was suiting her. I think that's again comes back to the don't change your main selling point because
But you're in the hands of directors. You don't have a lot of, I don't know.
yes, thanks for pointing that out because a lot of people we keep on thinking it's in our hands what picture is being used in an article or what kind of an article. Yeah, like I give an interview and I am saying certain things in a certain way, and then I see the article later and I'm like, what? 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 Okay, or the article is nice, and then they chose like I sent 5 pictures that I think they suit the topic and they're fitting. They just take something randomly different.
Hmm.
Uh, Interior design article, and I'm sitting on the sofa. I sent that picture, and they just took a random one where I was standing in the garden, and it was about my house and my interior design in my house. And I'm like, okay, why are you doing it? So just little reminder, a lot of stuff is not in the hands of actors. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is the case in a lot of things where you're not the executing person when things are published. This happens even when you're writing an article, and that's probably not the language or the grammar or the headline or the image that you've sent, but it goes there and
Oh,
becomes something else. So yeah, a lot of things
and
are
your name is
just.
on it, and your name
It
is on
is.
it.
There's a lot of yeah, it is, but they know, they perhaps have the analysis of what image might do well. Like we play around with our thumbnails. I play around with thumbnails,
Hmm.
but yeah,
Yes.
things like that. So yeah, it can't be helped, I guess, as long as word gets through. It's okay. So
Okay.
yeah.
This was a wonderful chat, Sagorika. I think we have covered a lot of different sides and angles from the topic, and
Yeah.
I think that we both are be okay in your skin, and if you want to change something, you can experiment, you can improve, you can do things, but you should not try to say no to who you are.
Yes. Be happy.
Be happy. Yeah, be happy. And on that
All
note,
right.
I think we can finish today's chat.
Thanks so
And if
much.
you like this,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just in the comment section, because we are really serious about if you have a topic that is close to your heart and you want to talk about it, you can leave it in the comment or even send me an email. My email is there on my channel, and we will think about if you want to incorporate it in the next chat of S Connection. Thanks for watching.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching.
Bye.